Welcome back. We still have with us Sumbo Badijoko, Public Affairs Analyst. Sincere apologies for that. Well, while we were on before, we were talking about the growth in the manufacturing industry. And I was asking you that this particular growth has been sustained over the last 3 quarters. So what do you think could have occasioned this particular trend? And how exactly can we sustain it and ensure that we have the same or even better result in the next quarter?
I was saying that the growth can be linked to the fact that it's one of the sectors that is trying to recover the losses that they suffered during the lockdown. So you see the aggression being there. That's the main thing that is responsible for the growth at the level or the part of those who are managing the sector. That is the reason. And if going by the efforts that they are putting in, it will continue to grow. But it's a sector that should perform better than that if every other thing are in place. And you look at the manufacturing sector, there are so many sub-sectors that are in there. Some are not active as we speak. Some are performing at a very minimal level, while some are operating at the peak right now. For instance, the cement sub-sector is operating at the peak, and that is one of the major contributors to the growth. While the food and beverages, they are struggling at the moment. Textile is struggling. Apparel and footwear, they are struggling. But iron and steel, they are also moving up. Pharmaceutical is trending. Beverage and tobacco, all these are also what is trending. I mean, among the sub-sectors that makes up the entire manufacturing sector. So it's not that all the sectors are actually operating at full capacity. But by the time other sectors also pick up, we'll have further growth being recorded in the manufacturing sector.
But I'll take you on something you said earlier. You talked about the fact that if every other things are in place, the results should be better. What are these other things that should be in place?
Yeah, in Nigeria, there are so many obstacles, or let me say challenges, that are being faced by the manufacturing sector. The first one is the environment. It's not favorable enough. If you go up north, Kaduna and Plateau, or let me say Kaduna and Jos, are the main industrial hub of the north. Due to insecurity, activities around there have been relatively grounded. So that is causing problems, and insecurity generally too is affecting the manufacturing sector. Power has been an issue. For instance, for the past 5 years, manufacturing sector has spent more than 425 billion sourcing for alternative power because they are not getting what they need from the national grid. You have multiple taxation. Poor infrastructure is also there. Obsolete technology, because they couldn't, they are just managing the whole machinery that they have due to the fact that they do not have sufficient power to power the new set of machinery. And of course, high interest rates. Of recent, the CBN just increased the interest rate from 11.5 to 13%. That will also have a spillover on the manufacturing subsector, because that is the rate at which the CBN is lending to banks that have gone up. That means for the commercial banks to now lend to manufacturers, they will also have to make some marginal adjustments to the rates at which they give access. So lack of access to credit facilities is also another impediment. So all these are the bottlenecks. So if those things go off their neck, then we will have a manufacturing sector that will be operating at the speed of light and will take Nigeria to the level which it ought to be, which is an industrial hub of Africa.
All right, you've mentioned about 5 things. And now the question for me is, what measures can the government put in place for quick wins in the nearest future?
In the near future, there has to be heavy investment on power. We cannot continue to rely on generators if we want to really go fully industrialized. So government needs to put heavy investment on that, make sure the power is available. They could, the idea of having a national grid, I really don't subscribe to it. It's a Belgian model which is not suitable for a country like Nigeria. Why is it not suitable? Belgium is just a very small country. It's not as big as your state, for instance. And you are using the kind of model being adopted in that small country for a country as large as Nigeria with the enormous population that we have. So we need to federalize electricity. We need to decentralize the grid so that if the industrial hub would have concentrated power supply, which would help their activities. So that should be done. Government should look at area of giving, reducing taxation, so that the companies can be able to flourish well. They should also do something about the interest rate, and of course, they need to accelerate the infrastructural facilities that we have.
All right, Sumbo, let me take you on this one.
One single rail line from Lagos to Kano or whatever. We need to have a network of rail lines so that goods can move faster from the companies to the market and people will have access to it. So that speedy state of movement of goods from the point of production to the point of usage would increase the capacity, would increase the, what do they call now, the consumption of those goods, and of course increase the capacity of the manufacturing sector.
All right, you said something about the interest rate, so let's talk about this now. The CBN has agreed to leave the interest rate at 5%, and that's for some key sectors. We have the manufacturing sector, the agriculture sector, and health sectors. Now, what impact do you think this will have on the sectoral performance of the manufacturing industry?
They still need to tone it down. For instance, the CBN rate is not the rate at which we look at. We look at the rate at which the commercial banks are giving it out, because the CBN don't loan directly to the manufacturers. It is the commercial bank that does that. So we have the Bank of Industry, which is another government bank that also makes credit facilities available. But the thing is, how much of these funds are being accessed by the manufacturers? How much of the stringent policies can they meet up with? So these are things that government need to really do. Then the government need to patronize whatever is coming from the manufacturing sector. So we need to cut down importation on whatever we can have local alternatives for. These are areas where the government can actually help the manufacturing sector. For instance, we have a car assembly companies here. I expect all government at all levels to not import vehicles, but to be buying from that particular local assembly. But when they do that, you are increasing the capacity, you are helping the company to grow, and you will also encourage other investors to go into that sector and create a competition so that they don't build a monster out of that singular company and you break the monopoly that would have emanated from that. So these are things that government can do, in addition to giving them a low interest rate to really boost the manufacturing sector. Because as I said earlier, Nigeria should be the China of Africa, manufacturing for the entire continent.
All right, thank you, Sumbo. Well, in wrapping up, I'll say that with the current inflation rate put at 16.82%, how much impact will this have on the manufacturing sector going forward? Very quickly, in less than 2 minutes.
Well, the inflation rate is as a result of what you and I both know, the exchange rate. Most of these manufacturers import their products. And because of the high, you can imagine the dollar exchanging at the parallel market for 610 naira as we speak. And of course, some activities of the political leadership is adding to that. You and I will see what happened at the last primary of the PDP, where dollars are being exchanged. These are dollars that should go into the hands of investors, but they will not have access to it because some people have withdrawn them from the bank. Of course, some activities like pilgrimage too are something that should be done. That yes, we have the right to practice our religion, but it shouldn't be sponsored by the state. You shouldn't give unnecessary concession. If concession will be coming from government, it should be to critical sectors. So these are things that will pull down the inflation. Another thing added is the fact that on the list of the manufacturing subsector is oil refining. We have zero refining capacity as we speak. And up till now, the Dangote refinery that is much awaited is yet to kickstart operation.
All right, thank you, Sumbo. I think this is a good place to anchor. Thank you for your thoughts.
Yes, yes. If you're not importing, if you cut down imports from the petroleum products, even if they are going to use alternative power, they would be having it locally, and that would reduce the inflation rate.
Thank you so much, Sumbo Badejoko, Public Affairs Analyst. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on Business Breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, and still to come after the break. Cost of doing business in Nigeria may rise as experts warn the new CBN interest rate may tighten borrowing for business owners. Task government to create an investment-friendly tax environment to boost investment and output in the economy. But that's our next talking point on the show. Please stay with us. Don't go away.